Good morning, everybody. My name is Maggie Rose Cunningham, and I am here for Middle Earth readings. Today it is Monday, the 10th of October. I'm going to be sharing with you the planetary movements and the movements of the planets through the wheel of the year and through the runes, through the 24 runes, to have a little bit of insight for us as to what they have to offer to us. And for those of you who are joining me live, my invitation to you is to share your rune of the week. And before we do that, I wanted to invite you into a little bit of a story. So, once upon a time, there were two queens, and both of these queens were sorceresses. They had magic. One queen looked out on the world through her window, and her magic was nature, and she called on the power of the snow, and she called on the power of blood, and she called on the power of the black ebony. And she was a manifester, and her desire that she felt within her was to have a child so that she could offer love to that child. And you may have already worked out that she is the first queen within Snow White. The second queen also looked out on the world and also possessed magic. But you will note that the question that she always asked was, mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all? And that is because the first queen, she looked out on the world and she saw nature as her partner, and she wanted to experience love. Second queen, what was the lens that she was looking through? What was the mirror that she was seeing in front of herself and that created those words for her? The mirror was vanity. It was a desire to be the most beautiful. And so all of her experience was coloured by this desire. And what she manifested is, her eventual demise and competition in the form of Snow White. And what the first queen manifested was the child that she wanted to love. The runes are lenses through which we get to see the world in a different way. We get to have a shift of perspective. They offer us this opportunity. They open us to magic, they open us to healing, and they open us to transformation. They say, well, what if? What if you chose this? So as you are listening to me talking about the runes for this week, and as you're sharing your runes of the week, and hello to everybody, I can see that a lot of you are already sharing your runes, which is wonderful. I'd invite you to think about your runes in that way, that they are an invitation. They aren't this is what's going to happen for you during the week, which is, I know what a lot of people come and they say, this is what, like psychic readings or seership is about. But for me, they offer us the possibility of partnership with them, and they say, this way. We don't know exactly how it's going to unfold, exactly what's going to come. We didn't know Snow White, there was a little bit of a shopping list going on for the queen. It's true, but the value of Snow White, her heart and her life and the way that she led her life were unknown things to the queen. And that's what we do when we work with the runes. We say yes to the magic that they offer to us, and we follow them. So as you're working with your rune for the week and you're thinking about the themes, you might want to think about it in that way, to say, if I follow the rune, if I step through it and embody it, what's possible for me and what will I see there? So we have 3 planetary movements that I'm going to be sharing with you today, and I just wanted to note, for those of you who follow the Instagram account or have received Suna's Star Wheel, which is for those of you who receive the full month of planetary movements and how you can work with them in advance, the visual that went with your full moon in Ewaz yesterday was of Iwaz, which is entirely my fault. I didn't notice it in the copy when I was looking at what my wonderful virtual assistant had put together for me. So I didn't spot that. So I know a couple of you have said, but the text is about Ewaz, but it's the Iwaz rune. So it was the Ewaz full moon. So the text about the moon and how you can work with it and what it offered you was correct. So apologies for that. So our first planetary movement starts today, and it is Tia's chariot. So this is the equivalent of Mars, the planet Mars. Tia carries this energy, this energy, and we can see it as our ancestors seeing the planets as being the chariots of the gods moving across the sky, potentially. So there is synergy. There's shared traits with Mars and with the martial power for those of you who work within that astrological system. But Tyr is different. Tyr is a warrior, yes, like Mars or like the Greek Ares, but he is also a priest, and he was also a king. So he brings a slightly different type of energy to this. There is a sacrifice component, there is a stepping into truth component with Tyr. There is a leading in whatever way is needed in the moment. So he was at one point the sovereign deity, the sovereign sky deity, and then we've lost the story as to how that changed and how Odin took on that role. But the partnership between the two of them and the way that Tyr does that, whenever I've gone and done oracular work, channeled work, story work, it certainly seems to be the case that Tyr's vision for the future, he recognized that actually Odin carried an important part of that, and that he could do more, taking on the role of the warrior and the priest, and he chose to do that because the vision for his kingdom was more powerful to him than the need to sit on the throne. So that's the type of deity, of role model, of archetypal figure that Tyr is. And he is in Dargaz, the rune of the day, the rune of transformation, of sudden transformation. It's that stepping through when we go, I can feel this transformation coming, but I can't actually see what's on the other side, so I have to take that moment of trust and step through. And Dargaz offers us that. And so Tyr's wisdom within that is, he says, there is no honour if the means to victory strips us of our values. And it is important to feel into that. This is, it's a philosophical question that people ask a lot of themselves. Does the end justify the means? Is an act that's undertaken that is unconscionable in some way justifiable if the end result is better for everybody? There's a lot of these questions around is the greater good, those sorts of questions are the type of thing that he's asking about. And he's asking us to step into integrity and to remember that as we step through whatever moment it is that we have, and that Dargaz gateway is offering to us, to take a breath, to take a pause and say, who am I? What do I stand for? What are my guiding values and principles? And to bring them with us, not to forget what we stand for and find ourselves being carried by the current of change. Now, what is the stand that you want to take as you step through that Dargaz gateway? That's the gateway is only one part of that moment. You are the other one. And that's what I mean about co-creation. It's not this will happen, it's what's possible when this opportunity and this person come together. That's what Tyr is asking us to feel into, and to recognise that you are the person who was chosen in this moment for this thing. So that's what Tyr is offering us. And then we have a little bit of a break, and we have 2 planetary movements at the end of the week. So we have Suna's chariot, the sun, is moving into Runyo, the rune of joy, joy, ecstasy, kinship, friendship. And again, if we think about the energetics of this, and we think about what Tyr has said, and we think about the story that I was offered to play with for this Middle Earth readings of the 2 queens in Snow White, there is a question here about the type of, in whatever context you think of yourself as a leader, somebody who comes into the office and brings that little sprinkle of fairy dust and joy in the morning. That is leadership. That person who gets up to tend to their sick child and says, actually, I can't go into work today because this is my priority right now. We have small moments of leadership all the time, moments of self-leadership and moments of role modelling, as well as all of the, whatever decisions I might need to take and on whose behalf are they doing and the vision that I'm pursuing. But I'm really feeling with the Wunyo this sense of those small moments of self-leadership and allowing yourself to step into your most joyful and whole being, in these moments. So this is what Wunyo is offering for us, and that's a 2-week period with because the sun travels through. It's about 2 weeks each time for the sun. So we move, and these are the half months. And the half months, for those of you who aren't on the Awakening program, you might not know them as well. So for those of you who are, you're probably going, yeah, fully there. The sun offers probably what you might think about as being the purest resonance of that rune's energy. So we get to experience it in its highest frequency, whereas for the other planets it's often how does the energy of Tyr work with the energy of Dargaz, and then that nuances it slightly. But the sun, it's like Wunyo. For those of you who do the symbol rite with me, you know that we use the symbol rite. We get our drinking horns out or our cups of tea, depending on what we're feeling like, and we say Wunyo at the end of people saying their intentions, and it's because we want to step into joy around those things. Not to be like, oh, I've committed to doing this thing. Well, that's really hard. Yeah. No. If you're going to do it joyfully, is what Wunyo offers. And then on the same day, on the 16th, we have Odin's chariot moving into Gibo. The little rune that looks like an X, but it's the G sound, the rune of gift giving, the rune of exchange, the rune of oaths. So you can see how Wunyo and Gibo, that were next to each other in the rune row, work really well together. So we have Gibo, where the promise is made, the commitment is made, the bond is created. And then we have Wunyo, where we go, hurrah, that this has been done. Because let's bring our most joyful energy to whatever it is that we have committed to doing in the moment. And Odin brings us back again to the two queens. And he says, the limit of your reality is dictated by the limit of your beliefs. We can't extend ourselves further into possibility beyond what we believe is possible for ourselves, because we will say no to those opportunities, because we won't see ourselves within them. We will say, no, I'm not ready for that. No, that's not me. Somebody else is, they'll do that. Whatever that is, we hold ourselves in. Which is one of the reasons why Odin, who is the All-Father, taken over from Tyr at some point, is also a wanderer and a wisdom seeker. He leaves his throne and he goes out into the world because he is continually looking to expand his edges. And again, the runes invite us to do that, because they say, come into this space of myth and magic and potential, where the limits of your current reality can shift and shimmer and change, and where you can start to open to, and the runes will help you open to something beyond. What is your next horizon? And Odin offers this opportunity for you to feel into, where are the limits for me currently, and am I comfortable with them? Am I in the place where I want to be? That I talk about that stretch zone between, I'm in my comfort zone, but after a while we get bored in our comfort zone. We stagnate in the comfort zone. Where is my next learning and stretch zone that takes me where I need to go and no further? Not into the terror, the abject terror around. Where am I going in this? We're not going to start climbing Everest when yesterday we were on a tiny little incline slope, maybe on a 5-minute walk. What's the next step for you? And he just says, have that moment, which is again why for the runes for me are so powerful in opening us up to that, to the magic and the potential and the what could be next for me. So that's what we are alive to through this week. So let me have a look now at the runes that you have drawn for yourselves for the week ahead. So just as a reminder for anybody who is new, you can draw a rune for yourself, and if you do not have a rune set, there is a Rune of the Day generator on the Mag and Rose website where you can just go and you can click and it will give you a rune. So we collect one of the 24 runes, we choose that, and everyone comes and they share their rune, and we say, what does your rune, if you were to take that rune as your window onto nature and your desire, or your magic mirror, and say, what lens do I want to look through? The rune offers itself and says, look through me, embody me, see what might be possible for you. Trish, we have Thurisaz. Let me see if I got my little pack of rune cards here so that I can share the shapes of the runes with people if they don't know them very well. I had my Thurisaz rune out on the table. I was helping to crew an event, a fantastic transformational event with, I think, 90 women, I want to say, at the event over the last 3 days. I was holding the space for them. Had my little Thurisaz rune and my Hammer of Thor. Here we are. Let me show you this one here. Ta-da! Look at this. It's amazing. This was made by Delana. I hope it's the right way around for you on the screen. This was made by Delana, who is one of my awakening students in our community. She made this and she put it on Instagram. It's got the Hammer of Thor on the back there, Thurisaz on the front. It's got lightning all over it. It's so umphy and delicious. And she made it and she shared a picture. It was on Instagram and I was like, oh, when I saw it at the beginning of awakening, and then she sent it to me. She lives a long way away, in a very different continent. So I love it. That was an aside, but I think it might be important, Trish, for the for feeling into your rune of the week, because I'm really feeling that grounded energy of Thurisaz. So here's Thurisaz, just the symbol, so you can see what it looks like. The rune of the thorn, the rune of giants, is often seen as being an aggressor rune, but what I'm feeling is a very powerful land energy, the energy of Thor's hammer, which is why I shared my lovely stone from Delana, is the energy when the lightning strikes the land and the rain falls upon it and the fertility comes and the boundaries are held strongly and powerfully, and the king or queen is sitting on the throne, connected to nature, connected to the desire of the land and the people. Very, very potent energy when we have harnessed it. And I feel for you, Trish, it's a sense of that Thurisaz-y energy that can feel a bit crackly and static on the outside, because it does, test us a little bit and it goes, oh, but feel underneath that, breathe underneath it, and you will find that powerful, potent, deeply connected, right down into the land energy underneath that. And when you plug into that, then the crackly static energy that Thurisaz can manifest as, in our periphery, we feel other people coming around us, it sort of goes on either side, and we feel a little bit disoriented or a little bit overwhelmed. And when we breathe back down into the Thurisaz power underneath, it's part of us, feeling that connection of your feet down into the earth, then all of that static energy gets pulled into our current. It's always doing that work of drawing energy down and sending what you don't need into the earth, and then sending up what you do need up above. So it's really asking you to root and connect into power. That's what I'm feeling there for you, Trish. Esther, good morning. So you have Swellow, the rune of the sun. So a lovely Swellow rune looks like, it looks like an S, because the S, modern S comes from the S rune. So it's like an angular, jagged S. It does have a little bit of that lightning quality to it, actually, and I was just talking about with Trish. Is it there? Oh, it's on here. I have it on the altar. There we go. So there's the Swellow rune. So you can see the shape of the S within it, but it's got these shapes, and you can see it, it's sort of like a lightning. It has some mischief attached to it, and it is our inner knowing, that sense when we are connected to the next step, to what needs to come through. I'm reminded that we've been talking a little bit about leadership in the room, and when you get to that point when everyone in the room, there's a bit of conflict going on and everyone's feeling a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit like, and then someone cracks a joke, and that's a bit of Swellow leadership going on there, because that's the person isn't thinking about the problem that everyone is trying to solve. They're going, actually, before we can move forward with this, the tension in the room needs to be diffused so we can get unstuck and then we can move forward again. So Swellow uses humour. It is a rune of dance as well, very fluid dance in the hips, and it's the connection with the heart centre to where we are moving forward. So it's inviting you to play with acting on those little intuitions and impulses about, and to allow them to come through, and possibly also to note for yourself moments where you felt moved to speak or do and then you didn't, and to go, what if I had done that? So Swellow was saying, just use that lens of paying attention to that sense inside you of what might be possible. And that is, again, it's a form of leadership, and Swellow is often seen as like the navigator rune, because our ancestors would have used this, highly reliant on the sun and the stars to navigate over the seas. So Swellow is the rune of navigation, so it's sort of self-navigation. And then Erica, you have Feyu, the first rune in the Futhark, F, as you'd expect, and its shape looks like a lovely F, a lovely F. I'm just making sure I don't have that one on the altar. A lovely altar going for my Adrezel's Path group, who are awesome, by the way. Here we go, we've got our Feyu rune. I've been feeling a lot of this energy recently. It's the energy of life force available to you. There's a renewal, I think, Erica, and also possibly an opportunity to find some blocks. And I'm feeling very much that sense of land. When we connect with our land and we make friends with it a little bit, we say, hi, I'm here, what do you need? And, whenever you're tending your garden or your plants, or you do a ritual and you end up with like excess energy after the ritual, that you can say to the land, would you like it? And you form a partnership with your land. In the northern tradition, we talk about the force of Herminia, which is the life force, and it's the luck force as well. So when we work with our land, you could think of it as the spirit of the land, or individual land spirits, different ways to think about it there. That flow of Herminia starts to move back and forwards between you. The land likes to be tended, it likes to be known, it likes its stories to be told, it likes to be honoured, which is great because we can offer it all of those things. But the land is more powerful than we are. It's been around for a lot longer. It's the earth at the end of the day. And so it offers back this abundant, plentiful energy when we work with it in that way. And so we get that stronger connection. So similar to what I was talking to with Trish, that idea of connecting in. I think what Feyu is offering you is just saying, just have a little look and see if there's anywhere else, any locations near your home or place of work that you can befriend and tend, and allow that energy exchange to be a little bit more powerful for you with the Feyu energy. Felicity, you've got Dargaz, so you're striding along with Tyr now. I'm seeing that sword raised high, and it is very much about standing in your truth for this one, is the way I'm feeling it. That as you walk forward, you could envisage yourself walking through moments of change, moments of possibility, like doorways opening up in front of you, whether they are or not, unimportant. It's that sense of the Dargaz doorways are there. You could do it in literally as well. I've done this before and it's quite fun. Like every time I walk through a door, just take a moment and pause and say, who am I bringing with me? Who is stepping through this door? And feel into those. I know you were in the hearth space session, the inner circle hearth space session, when we were feeling into sacred utterance and powerful words of sacred utterance. So you could actually choose some of those statements of, I am. What is it that I am? As I'm feeling out for me, I'm going, I am courageous. And then stepping through the door is a really powerful way of partnering with the Dargaz rune this week, and working with Tyr, and also connecting with the overall theme that we're working on of sacred utterance through the course of the month. So that is my recommendation to you. Marie, you have Uruz, and it's a Merc stave. So Uruz is the second rune, it's just after Feyu. So the U comes through it, the U sound. Very much the rune. We've got some lovely earth energy coming through today. it's the strength of the earth, the willpower of the earth, the shoulder to the grindstone, the mighty aurochs moving across the plane with its great strength and its force. Here we've got our Uru's rune. So your rune, Marie, is the Merkstave, so it's upside down, like this. No, I'm assuming. So when it's this way, it becomes a little bit more receptive. It often reminds me of the drinking horn that the aurochs horn would have been used to create. It's the cup that's waiting to be filled. And what I'm feeling here is, again, we were talking about the Gibo rune and taking oaths, promises and oaths, that it's almost like a hesitancy to drink is what I'm feeling. That sense of, you know, when you say something and then you go, oh, did I mean to say that? Did I? And again, this is coming through for me quite strongly for a few of you now. It's that pause moment of just going, what's there for me right now? That I've said, oh yes, I'll pick up Dylan. I don't know a Dylan, but you know, I'll pick up Dylan from the school gates today. That's fine. And yes, you can stay to dinner, and that's all fine. And then something in the back of your mind goes, is that fine? Is that okay? How many times have I picked up Dylan, and how many times has, you know, have I received anything in exchange for that? And it might be that you're okay with that. It might be that actually, that's fine. I'm more than happy. You know, my child loves playing with Dylan. Well, Dylan sounds great, doesn't he? You know, he loves playing with Dylan. I get a lot out of it. That's brilliant. I don't need there to be a reciprocal play date. Now, this is just an example here, Marie. And you're okay with it, and then you drink. You say, yes, that's fine. Wunyo! With your drinking horn. But if you go, actually, it's not really okay, then you need to assess your choices again, and perhaps pick up the phone and say, I'm really sorry, I've looked at my calendar again, and it's actually not going to be possible for me to pick up Dylan. Is there anybody else that you know who could do it, or I could offer a few names in the same class if you're not sure, because you don't have to. You know, you haven't committed for all time to doing anything. If you've made a sacred oath and you've drunk and you're like, yes, I'm going to do it, then I would recommend that you do it, because then your haminya will grow. But if you feel in that moment, you know, I've said the words that seem like the right words, and now I'm feeling into it and I'm going, no, that doesn't quite feel right, that doesn't resonate for me. What other options are available to you? Or yes, it's absolutely fine for me to have Dylan over, but it would be really great. No, my child. I'm going to go with Timmy because he's my eldest. No, Timmy would love to come over to yours. You know, he's really curious. Dylan's been talking about his toys, his stuff, everything. When can we arrange that? You know, so it's just thinking about what options are available to you, so that when you say that heartfelt, well, yo, it is heartfelt. You know, it is what it's calling into me there. It's just that. Stepping back into power with the Uru's rune is the sense that I'm getting there for you, Marie. Let me see. Candice, you've got Laguz. Oh, I love the Laguz rune. The Laguz rune is my sun rune, so it's the rune that, you know, I go to when I want to really tap into my own energy and connect really deeply with myself. So, you know, if you know your sun rune, that is good. If you do not, there are ways of finding them out through your birth runes report on the Megan Rose website. Let me find the Laguz rune for you. So, as you might be guessing, it is the equivalent of the modern letter L. Here we are. The rune for water. Water. It's another life force rune, but it's the flow of life from life into death, death into life, life into death, death into life. The subconscious, the gateways between things that, you know, it leaks. And vegetation that grew from the earth were considered sacred to Laguz as well. This partnership of water and the earth that was, you know, we bury people in the earth, and it was a place of, you know, decomposition and the bones of the earth within it, and yet life sprung from it, and water, you know, the rains that came and the streams that came was so incredibly important to our ancestors. But it could also be a source of death, of course, bearing in mind that, you know, our ancestors didn't have access to the pure water that we often have now. Well, not everybody would have. So they knew that it was also a source of death too. And it needed to be treated with respect. So that life force energy, that psychic connection, the seership, often seen as a rune of seership as well, comes through. So you have got that, Candice. And I'm just feeling that real flow for you. That sense of, you know, what is it that you need to be in flow? I'm connecting in with the Runyo rune there as well. You know, our Suna's chariot in Runyo, and we were looking at being a, maybe the word for you isn't joyful, maybe it is like flowing, easeful, connected, releasing, you know, just automatically with the water. You can imagine the water coming through and releasing what you don't need and bringing new life force in, and it just feels easy is the sense that I'm getting. So the Largus rune is offering you that where do you get those moments, what's possible for you and available for you when you have this plentiful supply of energy, and when you are, you've done your stretching exercises so that your body feels fluid and you feel connected, you know, above and below, and you're walking from that place, you're not just in your mind. It's that sense of flow. So what could you do to increase that sense of flow for you is what I'm getting there, Candice. Then Lisa, you have Hargalaz, the rune of the hailstone, the rune of change, the rune of it can be hardship at times, because it's the force of change and transformation that comes to reset the balance. Here we go. Hargalaz rune, the H sound. And it's the rune of the Great Mother, who is, you know, the destroyer and the creator as well. So for you, Lisa, there's the sense of how does that Great Mother Hargalaz energy channel through you? When are you the hand of the divine in action? Recognizing that sometimes when we say hard things, or we take difficult decisions, we are allowing that Hargalaz energy to channel and flow through us. This is something that when I work with clients who have Hargalaz in their birth runes, we spend quite a lot of time uncovering, because for a lot of them, they experience themselves as being uncomfortable to others, because they see what's wrong and they go for it, and they can't not. It's like they're almost like catalysts for seeing the thing that everyone's pretending they can't see, and then suddenly, you know, cracks appear where they weren't before, just because of the presence of somebody who is resonating with Hargalaz energy. Because if a structure is not sturdy, the Hargalaz room will go, you know, and knock it down if it's not stable. Which is why they say, you know, if you get Hargalaz in a reading, I'm not necessarily feeling this for you, Lisa, but if you get Hargalaz in a reading, it's a good idea to check things like, are your drain pipes okay, and are the tiles on your roof sorted, and those sorts of things. It's like, you know, if a storm is coming, we are going to be prepared for it, because the storm will just test us. Maybe there's a little bit of that there for you, Lisa, but largely I'm feeling that sense in which, when are you that hand, and recognizing that is a natural force that flows through each of us. Each of us has that capacity to be the Hargalaz rune in the lives of others, whether we know or not, but we might as well celebrate it, you know, and say, yeah, so if I hadn't done that thing, if I hadn't pointed out that thing, your house would have fallen down. No? So they might not say, thank you so much, but in the long run, they may well come back and say, actually, that thing that you said, that truth that you exposed, that power that you brought, that passion that you brought to this thing, you said, no, this matters. Thank you for that. But it's not always in the moment with the Hargalaz rune. So be the storm, Lisa, be the storm. Carolyn, you have Ingu, the rune of the seed. Let me see. We've got that. It's like a little diamond shape. There are two shapes for the Ingu's rune. The rune of gestation, the rune of the hero god going deep into the earth, like the seed of corn going down into the earth and being transformed in the belly of the earth and becoming the new growth. That willingness to receive the Hargalaz energy. If you think about Lisa and her Hargalaz energy. Here we've got the Ingu's rune, that waiting. What I'm feeling is some waiting and patience for you, that sometimes even if we have ideas and a sense of, you know, I want to move forward, I want to do this, I want to do that, we have to wait sometimes for the Hargalaz moment to crack us open. And that's okay, because if the seed was cracked open too soon, it might come out when the frosts hadn't yet finished, and then the project or the thing or the birthing or the sense of belonging, whatever it is that you want, won't take root, because it will, the frost will kill it too soon. So sometimes we have to wait for an event or a person or a thing to sort of break that shell. And so it's saying, be okay with being the seed, with being in that womb space of the Great Mother. Just look for areas where it might be a little bit of patience, a little bit of peace is needed. Nemain, you have Iwaz. So we were talking about Iwaz at the beginning, that we have an Iwaz rune on our Ewaz full moon. They are, it's annoying that they are very similar. There's just one letter difference in the two runes, but they are very different runes. They're not partner. I don't think of them as being natural partner runes. Oh, now I want to go and look and see if they can be partners or not. So we've got the Iwaz rune, which is the Yew Tree. It's the staff. It's the tree of life. It is as above, so below. It is the eternal within the ever-moving spiral of the year. All of these things come through. And, well, there you go, Nemain. I like it that you said, Iwaz was gifted to me last night under the glorious full moon. I'm thinking you drew your rune under the glorious full moon. So maybe your Instagram was just for you, that we had Iwaz instead of Ewaz. There is a real connection with the ancestors, a real stepping into power, a real recognition of eldership is what I'm sensing here. And it feels like an invitation to me, that invitation to say, if you think about Tyr stepping through and the joyful leader and the themes that we were discussing, there is something there about recognising the role of eldership. And I'm thinking here about the queens in a slightly different light. So there's a sovereign duty that both of these queens have. So the mother queen, Snow White's mother, obviously she wanted a child, she was desiring of a child, but also because she was a queen, for better or for worse, it was one of her roles, one of the things that was expected, is that she would produce a child who would go on and succeed her role. Whereas the second queen is the inversion of that. She doesn't follow that sense of purpose or service, she's not acting in service to. And I think that's perhaps a lens to look through the idea of elderhood through, is to say, when we step into elderhood, we recognise that when we are joyful and of service at the same time, and those things are aligned, and we've found the thing, that means that we can be of joyful service. That's one of the things that we carry with us into elderhood. Now, that ability to say, well, I can't answer that question because that's not me, it's not my bag. I don't have the wisdom for you there. It really just makes me miserable talking about it. So, but over there, that person over there. But if you want to talk to me about, I don't know why it's come into my mind about, magnificent cake baking. I was listening to something about the podcast about the bake-off yesterday. Maybe that's why I was thinking about that. This is me, this is mine. If you want to come and learn how to make like the best cakes full of love to offer to your family, that's where I can be of service to you, and I will enjoy it, and therefore you will get so much more. And I feel as if for you, Nemain, it is saying there might be some gifts that you would do well to recognise in yourself, that you will be carrying forward through, this time into elderhood, into that place where purpose and passion combine, love and laughter, come and others in the same place, come from the same place. And then Carol, you have Iwaz as well. And Carol, so yes, you probably looked at the full moon as well, so I'm sorry about that. So Iwaz, isn't partnership in the same way that the Ewaz rune is. So as long as you actually drew the rune that there's that shape, then you're looking at the rune of the Yew Tree. There is a partnership going. All of the runes are partners in different ways. So the Iwaz rune can be seen as like the staff, the great staff of the shaman, that your channels that energy of as above, so below, and becomes the center point in ceremony, becomes the gathering point around which the spiral of everything that is changing around you you keep your staff, your Iwas staff, so it defends us against some of the chaos. We've talked about the Hagalaz rune a little bit, so one of the defences against the Hagalaz rune is the Iwas rune. The Iwas rune preserves within it that which needs to be kept while the storm is raging. And we know that in Ragnarok we're told that some humans will climb into the world tree and be protected and then re-emerge afterwards, and this is Iwas and it's most defensive and protective, so it becomes the center around which everything else changes. And I think that perhaps that's what the rune is offering you at this moment. Maybe a suggestion for you that that's something that you already embody to a certain extent, but it's saying how could you deepen into that more? How can you allow the storm to rage around you and to release that which needs to be released, not trying to sort of hold on to too much, which doesn't, I don't think that there's a suggestion that you do, but it's saying how can I deepen into that further? How can I embody that energy for others when they need it as well, so that partnership comes there as well? If I have access to that Iwas energy, how can I be the still center when I need to? And what might be important here is, again, going right back to Trish's reading at the beginning when we were talking about the Thurisaz rune, recognizing that being the still center, and to a certain extent I think Erica's as well, when we were talking about the Fey rune and drawing on the land, it's saying that you use your Iwas staff to draw the power up through your feet and to lean into the support so that you can be the still center. Now the staff needs to be held by a human or animal with a hand, but I can't remember, the Swellow Rune has been really playful with me today. It needs to be held so that it can do its job, so it will just fall over if it's not there, but once it's held then it becomes the support as well, so it is the partnership between the person and the staff. So maybe that's why you're feeling a little bit of partnership there, Carol, with you as well. But it might be about that, about saying, yes, I want to be that of service, I want to offer that place of safety, of security, of stillness and peace and replenishment and healing in a place that is uncertain, in a world that is uncertain and where there are woundings and people are suffering. But in order to do that, what's my Iwas stuff? How do I connect it? How do I draw in what I need so that I can be that, so that I can do that? What's your support is the question that it's asking, about identifying that. Then we have Claire, so you have Dargaz. Felicity had Dargaz as well, so I'm just reminding you of the doorways there, Claire, for the stepping through into the doorways. Is there anything else there for you? I'm almost feeling sometimes Dargaz is a funny rune because it's the rune of night and day. Excuse me. Because it's the rune of night and day. Often we think about it as being the light. We go, I'm going to sit through the light and everything's going to come clear and la 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 la, it's all going to be great. But it's the rune of the full day, of the night and the day, the dark and the light. That's the better way of saying it. The dark and the light. So it's got in its shape two triangles facing inwards, looking a little bit like a Mobius loop, like an angular Mobius loop is the Dargaz rune. Here we go. The word day comes directly from it, and you could think of one side as being light and one side as being dark. And it's almost saying there are going to be things that don't make sense, that you can't see through, and that could be frustrating. Some of us, are very naturally gifted in being able to just go, this is where we're going, and we can feel blind when we aren't, when that's not happening to us. What I'm almost getting is, we get there's the tarot card of the blindfold woman, or we've got justice with the blindfold over. There are times when not being able to see is a prerequisite, requirement, is of benefit to us. I'm also thinking about, initiation, when we walk through and we don't know, and we trust in the moment and we see what's coming. We have to allow ourselves sometimes to be in the space where we can't see. And Dargaz is inviting you into that space. It's a different form of initiation, of allowing the the blindfold to sit there and being okay with that and not going, oh, when will it lift? I need to know. I need to know because I'm the leader in this moment. Sometimes we have to step back and allow ourselves to be led. And the only way to do that is to voluntarily put the blindfold on, occasionally, because if we're strong leaders and we're used to being in that role. So the Dark Husband might actually be asking you that question. It's saying, what do I need to do in order to step out of the leadership role every now and then to allow myself to be blindfolded and to be led by somebody else? What do I need to do? What are the steps that I need to go through to be comfortable in that space? I invite you to think about that for a little bit, Claire. Diane, you've got Ewa, so you do have the rune of partnership and the of our lovely full moon. It looks like a capital M, but it's not the capital M. That is the Manaz rune, which is different. It is this is the Ewaz rune. So if you put it on its side, I don't know if I'm facing that the right way or not for you. Well, I'll do it both ways. You can see more like the capital E within it, which is one of the ways that I help myself to recognise it. And it looks like two horses looking at each other. And it's the rune of partnership between the rider and the steed, but also, horses always fascinate me, the way that the leadership is distributed within the herd. The male and the female, alpha male and alpha female, are sharing the responsibilities. So it's not just about horse and rider, it is also about collaborative, very deeply collaborative leadership that is instinctive and intuitive and feeling in. It's that moment when you have had the blindfold on and then suddenly you realise that your other senses come into play much stronger, so that you can hear and you can feel on the skin, and you start to partner with your environment in a different way, and you start to trust your feet, that they will tell you, the way that you need to go, and if there's if the ground is stable or not. That your other senses become more heightened in that moment. As many of you know, often the order of the runes is incredibly important for these readings. So for you, Diane, I feel as if maybe there is a follow-on just from Claire's, just in terms of saying what becomes possible for you if you think about that there are where do the limitations currently in my life offer the opportunity for a keener experience in others, is the sense that I'm getting. It's that partnership with yourself and with the with the current context, exactly where you are right now. What opens up when this closes off? So maybe just inviting you to think about that analogy of the blindfold and the way in which the other senses open up. Cheryl, you have got Wunyo lying on its side and pointing down. So you will know that we are coming towards the Wunyo, Suna's chariot in Wunyo, the sun in Wunyo, the rune of joy and kinship and friendship, lying on its side and pointing down. So you want to imagine that Wunyo looks a bit like a flag, like a semaphore flag. And so Cher's rune is pointing downwards with the flag almost like buried in the earth. Where is my Wunyo rune? Where have you gone? I feel as if I've been through the whole Futhok at this point and there is no Wunyo. I'll just have a little check and see if it's on my altar. It's not on my altar. It's hiding from me. The Wunyo rune is hiding. We'll have to work without it. I'm just going to... Oh no, there we go. Just as I said no, comes up unexpectedly. So your rune is like this, pointing downwards into the earth. It's a bit of a different energy, so I'm just going to have a little bit of a shift. I'm shifting out of where we were with Diane and the partnership and fully into your Ewaz rune there. It's actually looking a bit like an axe or a pick to me, digging into the earth there. And there's a sense of a space underneath that is unknown. You know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing Aladdin. Aladdin when he goes into the cave, like the deep under the earth, and he doesn't know what's there. He doesn't know that the treasure is there. He goes down, he sort of says, what's his name? Jafar says, go down to the cave and you can have whatever you want, but bring me the lamp. And Aladdin's like, oh, so he goes in for one thing and comes out with another. And it is a sense for me of I am almost like feeling like literal digging and being open to the possibility that what you expect to find there might not be what you receive. I'm feeling a bit of ancestral wisdom with that. I know sort of early October, we are starting to move towards Samhain and that period of time and the Festival of the Mothers, where we can connect very deeply with our ancestors. And I wonder whether for you, Sharon, it might be, and perhaps it's a slightly longer term piece of feeling like I want to go on this journey, journey of connection with the ancestors. Perhaps there's some honouring, perhaps there's some grief work as well. And it's just saying, just be aware that you might find gifts in there that are unexpected. And so just allowing yourself to receive them, and also remembering what we've talked about with the theme of this week being around how do you want to show up. Because if you think about Aladdin, the diamond and the rough, as they say in the Disney film. I think it's just the Disney film, isn't it? I don't think that was a thing until Aladdin. That it was because of who he was that he was chosen in that sense, and that he was able to find the lamp, and he did all of the stuff, and he didn't just say to the genie, yeah, I'm going to have all of my wishes, that's going to be great. And so there is a sense there of that it might be that in looking to discover the ancestors, or perhaps doing some research on your land or like family tree or whatever it is, that you discover things about yourself as well. So this week I'm thinking is a moment perhaps to pause and reflect and say, how would I like to be known by my ancestors? Just to give yourself almost like a little bit of preparation time is what I'm seeing before that how would I want to show up? What are the things that are important to me? What are the stories that I would tell them about my life? We often think about it the other way. So I offer that to you, Cher. Eric says, I love this metaphor of chariots for planets. Yeah, I like it too. I think it's because they carry the energy, and you can see that how our ancestors would have seen it as being, it's the chariot of the god blazing across the sky. We have that with the sun and the moon, and we know that the deities in the northern tradition also had chariots pulled by different animals, and often in particular cases. So yeah, it's a nice visual for us. Sally Ann says, you're partnering with Ansus this week. The breath. I got a bit of storytelling coming on for you, Sally Ann. It's a real bringing of presence through through spoken word rather than written word. And again, I'm bringing that pause moment in. That I'm literally just saying, if you were to choose a word, and again, I know that you're in a circle. So I can't remember if you were at the class or not. That's really bad of me, isn't it, Sally Ann? I'm so sorry. I think that you were. Go and do the reading that we did, and we were finding those words that resonate with us, in the great void of Gunungagat, that bring that resonance through, and the sacred utterance that we would speak. I think it is actually speaking those or others that you find. I'm thinking of value. I used courage earlier, so I'm going to do that again. And often we'll use it as a mantra in our heads. Courage. I want you to experiment with saying the word courage in as many, not courage, choose your word, maybe it will be courage, choose your word that you would like to embody, and then say it in as many different ways as you can say it. Say it quiet, say it loud, say it like you're a warrioress, courage! Say it as if you're soothing a small child, courage. And feel all of the different ways that as you speak the word out loud and you think about, how you're saying it, how you're embodying it, as a queen, courage. Allow the word to resonate through your body and allow your whole body to feel it. So that you get to that, it's that presence, it's that speaking the word out loud and using the presence. God, we're doing lots of fun stuff today, aren't we? And I'm going to hang out with so many of you so that I can do all of these things with you this week. Candy says, I love your stories, you tell them so well. Hooray! Well, I'm glad that is a good thing. It's a good thing. Elaine, you have Swellow as well. So we've talked a little bit about Swellow already. I'm just going to feel into whether there's anything more for you with the Swellow Rune. I'm working with Swellow at the moment, so I'm just making sure that I'm not receiving what's mine. It's a bit of my rune there. There's a freedom. That's what I'm sensing for you, Elaine. It's freedom. It's not, I need to go over here, or, you know, this is what my leadership is, or anything like that. It's the sun, you know, the dance of the sun dancer greeting the dawn on the beach. I still can't remember what it was. Somebody did a Swellow meditation with me a long, long time ago. Such a strong vision of this woman with like a corn wreath around her head, and this gold skirt made out of, I don't know whether it was like golden beads or long gold ribbons or whatever it was, but that was basically all that she was wearing. And she just did this greeting to the sun dance. And I've used that in classes that I've done with people before. We've gone and we've visited her, and, you know, all sorts of things have been shared. But just this sense of allowing yourself to move and dance and greet the sun and be playing with the freedom of possibility of, I don't need to do anything apart from be in this moment right now. You might put on your favourite track, you know, something that you find really uplifting, and just allow the track to move you, because that's how we then feel more deeply into the Swellow Rune. We need to feel it inside us first before we can follow, because the following, we're following ourselves, you know, when we follow the Swellow Rune, following that deep heart, you know, drum, the sun blazing inside us is what we're following. So we have to do that work first of allowing ourselves to feel the pleasure and the flow. So a bit of dance for you is what I would recommend, Elaine. Eric says, working with land spirit, very wise insight. Good, I'm glad that was helpful. Esther says, thank you. Rebecca says, North is mine this week. So we haven't had Northers yet. North is the rune of the letter N. The need fire, the word need, the word necessity come from the Northers rune, and because of that, it is the rune that people write to me the most about and say, oh, I've had a really terrible time in my life and I hate Northers, I hate it. And it's got a bad rap, the Northers rune, because it can bring the dark night of the soul, because it's the need fire. But it's worth bearing in mind that the Northers rune manifests when we are in the place of despondency and despair. It is the need fire burning in the dark and saying, this is not okay, I am not okay. And sometimes I don't want to say it doesn't cause those things to happen, but it's almost like it's the natural response to something is wrong in my life. Or it is also the hormonal change can come through quite strongly with the Northers rune, because there is a biological need for us to evolve and change from children into adults. And that can come with some dark nights of the soul, can't it? So, you know, we do have that. It's a very sensual, very desiring, very instinctive rune. You know, like teenagers follow that instinct that suddenly builds inside them, that they're not going to talk to their parents like ever again, and they're going to just go, rah, you know, whatever it is. You know, some of them, they just like retreat into their rooms forever. Or some of them just like, I hate you, whatever it is. It's like a instinctive thing that is, you know, comes back to, you know, our young people needed to go out into the world and separate from their families and found their own new families. They had to have that moment of separation, which would feel, you know, fear, and my child self is going and I don't like it anymore and I'm not protected in the same way, and yet I am compelled to do this. The Northers rune brings all of these things. And I'm thinking for you, Rebecca, that this is almost a recognition of the journey of Northers through life, and a recognition that you can also become the Northers flame, drawing and like lighting your own need fire, which says this way to those in the dark. Like the beacon that understands the Northers rune fully. And something there about going even deeper into instinct and body knowing. It's coming through really strongly there with the Northers rune. Michelle, you have Keenaz. We're getting a little flurry of fire runes now. So Northers is a fire rune because it's the Northers rune. Keenaz, which is on my altar here, so I shall bring it up. Here we go. Is the rune of the torch. It's the creative fire. It's the transformational fire. It is physical change, but whereas Northers starts on the inside and it's like hormones doing stuff when it comes through from the inside. Kinaz is expressed on the outside, so when you have like a bruise on the skin, or it was often referred to as the rune of ulcers and sores, because people saw it, they were like, oh, what's happened there? There's something, this is not good. So it was seen as a rune of illness, but because it was the manifesting, transforming rune, not necessarily anything like innately wrong within it, but it is a rune of physical transformation. And it is a rune of awareness as well. It's the torch, though. The eyes are very strongly associated with Kinaz and what we see. To me, it's actually talking about a keenness of perception, Michelle. So it's that presence that's required. I would really be looking to practice, mindfulness techniques through the course of this week. Anytime you feel as if you're going off into the mind, just the world of the story in the mind, and you're going, oh, I'm out of my body, this isn't quite good. Drawing the Kinaz, drawing yourself back down, and actually maybe using physical objects to do that. So if you have like a ring or something that you put on that makes you go, yeah, I put this ring on with the intention that I'm going to stay present in my body, focused on what's happening around me, so that I know what the next steps are that I need to take. What do I need to transform? What do I need to change? How can I then become the hands that shape, which is the second phase of the Kinaz rune. We receive, first of all, and then we manifest from that place, and the Kinaz obviously is us both. So if you're standing there with your torch and you're looking around the darkness, and that's all good, but if you're going, oh, I wonder what I need to be making for dinner, and oh, that didn't happen, and I've not done that bit, then you're not looking at where you're going. So that's why the Kinaz rune is saying, pay attention this week. Felicity says, great reminders, that's wonderful. Candy says, thank you. So does Trish. I'm just seeing if there are any more runes, because I've got a couple. Carol, actually, we've done Iwas, haven't we? So thank you, you've put that in, because Suzanne is not available. Our normal, she normally comes and she scoops up the runes for people who can't be here, and she brings them, but she's in Devon having a wonderful time, I hope, but with very poor Wi-Fi, and I also think she should not be here if she is in Devon anyway. She should be relaxing and enjoying herself. But Darren, you sent your rune through, so thank you for popping that in the underneath the middle of the reading, so that I could see it there. So you've got the Rado rune, which is the rune of the road. Road, riding, ritual, rhythm. It's a really good rune for knowing what its meanings are, because they begin with a R, and I'm feeling a little bit of a journey, like a spiritual journey for you. It doesn't always mean travel. People see Rado and they go, oh, you're going to go and travel somewhere. It doesn't always mean that. It was found inscribed on the funeral urns of dead people, because to support them on their journey wherever it is that they need to go next. For me, it feels like almost like a preparation. We've been talking about how are you going to show up, what do you need to do, Tears talking about the values that you want to bring in. There's a sense that a journey is calling, and it's saying what do you need to do in order to successfully undertake that journey? What preparations need to be made? I'm thinking about this quite literally. I was thinking about, not that I'm suggesting that you're going to end up in a funeral urn anytime soon, Darren, just to be really, really clear on that. But obviously the person didn't put the Rado runes on the urn themselves. Somebody else did that for them, because this is what we do in our community, in our tribe. We have an agreement on what rites of passage look like, how they're going to occur, what rituals, Rado's asked about rituals, what rituals we need to go through in order to prepare ourselves to receive the full impact of the journey, to get to where we're going to. So I think, Darren, what it's suggesting is that if there is whether it's travel or whether it's a new venture, or a course or something that you're deepening into at the moment, it's just pausing and going, yes, there are practical arrangements that need to be made, but also what are the spiritual arrangements that might need to be made that will deepen that journey for you. So I hope that makes sense for you, whatever that journey means to you. It might even be that you're not sure what the journey is. For some people, I am feeling a slight, like a shifting of the year as we move from Samhain and Halloween. It might be that it's about the journey of the next year, and you're saying, what do I need in order to open myself to the potential of the next year? There's a possibility there as well. What rituals should I perform for myself to release the old and get ready for the new? So have a feel into that. Marie says, thank you, I tend to put myself last. This is a timely reminder to step into my own power and embrace it. Good. Well done, Marie. Carolyn says, thank you. It's what I feel since this morning. My night was a bit weird and I'm quite tired today. But sometimes bring the nice pause. Great. So yeah, that pause is wonderful. The Alchemy of Soul work, says the main. Claire says that makes total sense. Good. Diane, I can't expand on the reading at this point because we've already run over quite a lot. But I would just feel into that blindfold, into opening up to other senses there. Chen, you've come in there. Ooh, I will. All right, Chen, come on, we'll go for it. You have got Uruz as well. So yours is Uruz upright. We've had Uruz Merkstave. So we've got Uruz upright. I'm really feeling the drum there, sort of the drum of the earth beating and pulling you forward. I think it's about trusting your instincts here, Chen. That's saying there feels as if there's some momentum there, and the Uruz Rune is saying, keep going, keep going. Maybe we were talking about those gateways opening up, and yeah, the gateway opens up. And whereas with, oh, I'm so sorry, it's gone from me who had the upside down Uruz Rune? I can't remember. I'm so sorry. Was it you, Marie? I'm not sure. Whoever it was had the upside down Uruz Rune. It was like pause, take the pause moment and then say, is this right for me? We were talking about Dylan, weren't we, in that context? Yeah, so it was Marie. And this one is saying, don't do that. Go, Chen. Trust yourself. Move forward. Harness the energy of the moment. If an opportunity comes, let's go with it. You are ready. You're strong. You're powerful. So yeah, we're going to go with that one. Elaine says, thank you, I would love to paint that. Ooh, lovely paintings, you want that. Sally Ann says that's good. Michelle said that's good. Okay, Diane, if you want to message me, you can do so separately, but we're going to have to finish Middle Earth readings now because we have been here for an hour and a half session today. It's been very busy. Lovely. Oh no, an hour and a half, an hour and 10 minutes, apologies. Lovely to see you all. Have a wonderful rest of your week, working with your runes as lenses and stepping through and seeing what's available to you when you work with them. So take care, and I will see you very soon.